Many child stars become famous at a very tender age, and growing into it becomes increasingly difficult and scary until they lose themselves. Some recover, and others get entirely lost and unable to find their way back. Justin Bieber was first seen on YouTube as a 12-year-old who covered songs and played instruments before he was discovered and shot into fame at that very young age as an international pop star. The insane thing about all these is that Justin started smoking marijuana when he was around 12 or 13 years old, which was way too inappropriate and the beginning of a disturbing addiction. At the same time, he navigated fame while at it. Then, Justin started depending more on smoking weed and also getting into drinking a mixture of complex substances like mixing syrup with soda and an irregular hard candy. The crazy thing is that he didn't stop there, as he went ahead to try everything and took every pill he could find, taking MDMA and even mushrooms, all while navigating fame at a very tender age. However, Justin could have been deep into all these crazy substances, but he listened to his own body and aimed to become sober because, at a point, he felt like dying with how far he had gone in his dependence on the use of substances. He said, "My security and staff would come into my room at night to check my pulse. People don't know how serious it got. It was legit crazy scary. I was waking up in the morning and the first thing I was doing was popping pills and smoking a blunt and starting my day. It just got scary." As Justin said, many people didn't know how scary it was behind the scenes because he still showed up to perform, but it was obvious in how he behaved in public. His long-term former manager, Scooter Braun, described Justin's 19 to 21 ages as very dark. And despite how all of these boiled down to decisions, Justin believes it was the fame that set him up because of how crazy it was for a young boy of 13 to suddenly start getting access to everything. For someone constantly in touch with people, he had no personal skills or beliefs to handle them. Justin revealed how fame took him apart. "Millions of fans were saying how much they loved me and how great I was. You hear these things enough as a young boy and you actually start believing them. So, by this point, I was 18 with no skills in the real world, with millions of dollars and access to whatever I wanted. This is a very scary concept for anyone." Also, Justin blamed his parents for not giving him the tools to be a good team player, despite dealing with people his whole life. And now, Justin has continued to lean towards a better and balanced life ever since he married Haley, and he has been open about his battles in the media, including his Lyme disease. Justin found peace with God, and despite rumors of his relapse going around as he was seen recently smoking, he appears to be getting better daily in his recovery process. He said, "As humans, we are imperfect. My past, my mistakes, everything I've been through. I believe I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and God has me right where He wants me. We all have different stories. I'm just excited to share mine." And now, as a father, Justin is still figuring it out and trying to protect his little son, Jack, from the same fame that almost destroyed him. Although some recent appearances of him don't look good enough, Justin is trying his best and hoping to put everything behind him. Another of the child stars who had more fame and attention than they could handle is Macaulay Culkin, who became famous after the hit Christmas movie Home Alone. As one of the most successful child stars of all time, he had a very tragic fall from grace as he went through a whole lot, from substance abuse to legal problems with his parents, and even got arrested. Macaulay became famous at age 10, and nothing has remained the same. Interestingly enough, his troubles began with his parents and not with drugs, because at age 15, he took his parents to court to legally emancipate himself by removing his mom and dad as his legal guardians, which naturally happens at 18. Still, for some reason, Macaulay was tired and wanted out instantly. Reports were flying around that he did that so that only he could access the $13 million he got from featuring in Home Alone, and stop his parents from accessing his future money. It might seem wild that Macaulay wanted to separate from his parents, but there's a big reason for that, as you will be surprised that his dad decided to leave his job to focus on Macaulay's film career alongside his wife Patricia. Due to his popularity then, he made around $6 million per project, and the parents, Kit and Patricia, took 15% of every money he made. Macaulay thought he'd had enough before the situation became worse and uncontrollable. He said, "I legally took my parents' names off of my trust fund and found an executor, someone who would look over my finances just in case anyone wanted to stick their effing pinky in the pie." But then he got into more trouble because in 2004, when he was 24 years old, Macaulay's mugshot went viral as he was arrested and charged with possession of marijuana and a controlled substance without a prescription. The rumors became widespread on how he had become addicted, and to make matters worse, a picture of him looking frail and like a shadow of himself holding onto an energy drink went viral, which shocked everyone in 2012. Unlike Justin, whose use of substances could be seen in his behavior every time, Macaulay had his hidden until it went out of hand. But he denied ever having as much as people rumored, saying, "No, I was not pounding 6 grand of heroin a month." Also, he got to speak about his relationship with the substances in a 2021 interview where he said, "I do love them, they're like old friends, but sometimes you outgrow your friends." And just like that, he did outgrow them, found love with another former child star, Brenda Song, and they have 2 sons together. Interestingly, recent appearances of Macaulay showed him as someone who has recovered from the substances and is going through life with his great and loving family. Judy Garland is one of Hollywood's most unforgettable stars. Her brilliance on screen is matched only by the heartbreak of her life. Starting as a young vaudeville performer alongside her sisters, she caught MGM's eye, signing a contract that seemed like a golden ticket but soon turned dark, setting the stage for decades of personal struggles. At Metro's school, surrounded by glamorous peers like Ava Gardner and Elizabeth Taylor, Judy endured relentless criticism of her appearance, which crushed her self-worth. Studio boss Louis B. Mayer even mocked her as his little hunchback. MGM reshaped her appearance with nose-altering devices to mold her into their ideal and kept her on a crazy diet of soup and lettuce to stay slim. Against these odds, Judy became a sensation, lighting numerous MGM films in her teens. Her unforgettable turn as Dorothy Gale in The Wizard of Oz cemented her legacy, with Somewhere Over the Rainbow becoming her anthem at live performances. But privately, she was going through the worst. Judy later shared that MGM fed her amphetamines to keep her energized and barbiturates to sleep, a cycle that spiraled into a lifelong battle with addiction. As an adult, she continued to shine, starring in hits like Meet Me in St. Louis and presenting Lily Mars, racking up over 24 films for MGM. Yet her demons, which are depression, suicide attempts, and addiction, led to her missing filming schedules and strained her relationship with the studio, which cut ties after 15 years. Without giving up, Judy delivered some of her finest work after leaving MGM, earning Oscar nominations for A Star is Born and Judgment at Nuremberg. She also drew massive crowds on concert tours and hosted her Emmy-nominated TV series, The Judy Garland Show. Still, addiction and financial ruin kept haunting her. Mismanaged earnings left her drowning in debt, and despite her resilience, Judy's life ended in tragedy at 47 from an overdose. Another child star with a tragic fall is Amanda Bynes, whose first appearance on the screen was in the 1990s as a radiant child actress, first stealing hearts in season 3 of Nickelodeon's All That. Her infectious charm made her a standout, earning her a starring role in The Amanda Show. Seamlessly evolving from an adorable, funny kid to a witty teenage idol, she lit the big screen in movies like Big Fat Liar. With her charm and humor, Amanda became a defining figure of the 2000s and started building a thriving film career. She was the poster child for a smooth transition to adult stardom for a while, but that image soon failed. In her mid-20s, Amanda faced legal troubles, including charges of driving under the influence and marijuana possession. A shocking incident followed when she allegedly threw a bong out of her New York City apartment window during a police visit. Her mental health began to get really bad, marked by erratic behavior, psychotic episodes, suicidal thoughts, and a brief conservatorship to manage her affairs. When Amanda reemerged, she was unrecognizable. The vibrant personality had faded, replaced by a reserved figure with face tattoos, piercings, and a flat demeanor. Reports suggest she has stepped away from acting and joined OnlyFans, but with clear boundaries, as she emphasized there will be no steamy content, focusing instead on connecting with fans via direct messages for a $50 monthly subscription. And speaking of child stars who lost their way to fame in the acting scene, Lindsay Lohan is a massive part of that, as she was the it girl of the 2000s. At just 10 years old, Lindsay Lohan captured audiences in the 1998 remake of The Parent Trap, charming viewers as twin sisters scheming to reunite their long-separated parents. She carried that momentum into the early 2000s with Disney hits like Freaky Friday and Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. But her standout performance in 2004's Mean Girls launched her to true stardom, and that's when the cracks began to show. From 2007 onward, Lohan's life unraveled in a storm of substance abuse, family drama, legal battles, and even brief moments in jail, all under the relentless glare of the media. Her once promising career crumbled as her chaotic lifestyle became impossible to ignore. Her struggles pushed her to the brink of financial destruction and derailed her acting career, with film offers vanishing amid reports of unprofessional behavior on set. Yet, Lohan's story might have a brighter chapter. As of 2023, she's reportedly on the path to recovery from addiction, happily married, and embracing motherhood. She's also returning to Hollywood, signing a 2-picture deal with Netflix. The 2 films, Falling for Christmas and Irish Wish, are already out, with more projects in the works, a rare and inspiring turnaround for a child star who seemed to have lost it all.